4. Karl Marx. Stirner was not as radical as he believed himself to be. Stirner had denied God, man, law, and spirit, but he had not denied logic. His whole exercise of reason was a logical development of the implications of Hegel. But why should logic be any more binding on man than God? Stirner had simply created a new beyond in terms of which he appealed to all men. Why should reason compel men? If the compulsions of God be denied, then the compulsions of reason can be equally denied as alien to man's will. In terms of this, Karl Marx, 1818 to 1883, in his many writings simply bypassed Stirner. In his thesis on Feuerbach, he gave his reason. The philosophers have only interpreted the world in various ways. The point, however, is to change it. Logic was thus irrelevant as a binding force. Logic and reason are merely tools, instruments of man as he changes the world. Action is thus basic, not thought. Stirner belonged to Feuerbach's world, in Gary North's words. He conceived of man as a plastic, observing creature totally subject to the material reality about him. In striking at Feuerbach, whose work Stirner and Engels had welcomed, Marx struck at all philosophy. Marx's truth was not in man nor in philosophy, it was in history. Hegel had brought the beyond down to earth. Stirner placed the beyond in reason and logic. Marx followed Hegel more closely in that he placed meaning in history. Above the individual man was now the beyond of history, history as the source of meaning and of authority. The creation of a new society is the goal. To that purpose, reason is instrumental. Marx was a pragmatist in this respect. John Dewey, 1859 to 1952, saw reason and man in instrumental terms. Dewey's beyond was the great community. He differed from Marx only in methodology. For Dewey, the public will remain in eclipse, that is, man will not truly be man until the great community arrives. The public will remain shadowy and formless. Man is not truly man until the planners achieve their purpose. Dewey's works underline the truth of Stirner's analysis of the liberal and radical syllogism. Stirner had denied an ultimate or immediate one. Marx and Dewey denied the many. For Marx, it was the duty of philosophers to chart the necessary course of action and for the proletariat to execute that action. The requirement for action by the proletariat was simply this. Since the proletariat had nothing at stake, it would assent most readily to the total dissolution of existing society by revolution. In his call to revolution as historical action, Marx said, "Let us revolt against the rule of thoughts." The purpose of this revolt is freedom. Here the ghost of Hegel again prevails. Hegel's goal was the freedom of the individual from jealous Jehovah, and history was for Hegel the new area of determination. Marx was faithful to this aspect of Hegel. He simply stripped Hegel's verbiage from Hegel's goal. In the process, however, he also dropped the world of Christian meaning with which Hegel cloaked his terms. Like Stirner, Marx now had a problem of meaning. What is freedom? North has brilliantly exposed Marx's embarrassment over this problem. Marx, after struggling with the problem of the meaning of freedom, could only lamely conclude, "The shortening of the working day is its fundamental premise." North's comment on this answer is telling. The paucity of the answer is staggering, incredible. If so much misery had not been launched by Marx's labours for the forces of revolution, and if so many lives had not been destroyed in the name of Marx, that answer would be amusing in its pathetic quality. Marx denied the rule of reason in favour of historical action. As a result, because all reasoning is class-conditioned for Marxists, the use of logic is futile against Marxists. What use is it to go and say to a Marxist, "Your ideas don't make sense"? One might as well talk to a deaf man. Talk to a Marxist of freedom, and he redefines freedom to fit the needs of the Marxist regime. But God having made man, it is God's definition which lingers in men's hearts in the Soviet Union, not that of Karl Marx. Marxist freedom has meant longer working hours and a meaningless life.